going on, everybody? Welcome to the Bench Talk UFC Special. We got a big card coming up this weekend in Las Vegas, Nevada. We got a lot of things to talk about, and I have here to my left special guest, UFC expert, jiu-jitsu master. He lost his tooth in jiu-jitsu, so that's how you know he's a master because he sparred in combat in real jiu-jitsu fights. We got J Mike. How you doing, brother?
How's it going? I'm very happy to be here. I did not lose my tooth in a jiu-jitsu match. That is not what happened. I was in ferocious combat for my life and I fought that guy off. He's lucky he only got a tooth. That's it. You should see him. He's not doing so well.
No,
So,
and that
I'm
and
very happy to be here.
Yeah, no, very happy to have you. I mean, glad you made it out of that, and glad the other guys possibly made it out of that. We don't have him here, but really, just gonna get into some of the UFC stuff here. I mean, a lot of stuff to go into. First off, I mean, we got to talk about this dude passed out on the stage. I got to get your opinion on that. You've been watching the fighting for a long time now. What are your thoughts on these crazy cuts to make weight? And then, what are your thoughts on Michael Bisping? Just talking crap and like, oh, these fighters have to do a job, and then the guy passing out right behind him. I mean, he
So
couldn't really plan that better.
here's what you want to go with that because it's just ironic. And more than anything else, uh, Michael Bisping never had to really, Michael Bisping was fully a 170 pounder when he fought. I believe he may have fought at 185 at some point. I don't think he had to cut as much weight. Not to say that's easy for him to say. I'm sure whatever weight cut he was doing, it was just as bad as everybody else. The moral of the story is though, whatever way you want to look at it, in reality, he is correct about what he was saying. You signed the contract to fight at that weight class. You show up and you be on weight. Now, here's the thing. People want to go back and forth whether or not it's the promotion's fault for allowing the weight cuts or it's the fighter's fault for taking the fight at that weight. But it's one of those kind of like hard places where what are you going to do? You're going to go into your weight class where everybody's doing that, so they're all going to be bigger than you once they hydrate, or are you going to risk doing what Cameron Smotherman just did and faint, pass out in front of everybody, and now his fight with Ricky is off, which is a shame. He's I believe Ricky Tercios is a Long Island fighter. So that's a bad shame for him. It's a huge shame for Cameron Smotherman considering he is on a 2-fight losing streak. Last he fought was Ricky Simone. He lost the decision of that. He's not cooked just yet, but Dana White is probably not the happiest camper with him right now. And that's along with 2 other people miss weight on this card as well. So not a great look, but this is the game. This has been the game for years now, and it's not looking like we're gonna have a big change.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Dana White, are you pissed off that someone fainted on stage?
It's not about the faint on stage more than it is about the loss of revenue now from that card. Because here's the thing, it's a weird misconception people have. Fighters get paid once they get on the scale. So once that guy goes on, makes the weight, that's when they get that first half of their check, right? The other is if they win. If they win the bout, they get I believe it's like double that. So say it's 2,500 a show, another 2,500 if you win. So it's money out of Dana's pocket, which $2,500 is
Yeah,
about the
not much
same
to
as a
Dana.
penny to Dana White. But all in all, he's going to be. It's the first card of the year. It's a not the. It's a fight on the prelims. It's not as detrimental as say another fight that did fall off the card earlier this year. Kayla Harris versus Amanda Nunes, um, which was I believe probably would have been the main event had everything gone well there. But it's one of those things. That's the cost of doing business. I'm sure he's probably not losing sleep about it. What he probably is thinking is that Cameron Smotherman is either out or he's going up to 100 and I believe it would be 135 pounds. I'm not sure. I think actually he would be going up to featherweight, 145. because I think that fight was at bantamweight 135.
Yeah, that fight was at 135, so he made weight, I think, if I remember correctly,
He did.
in seeing that he made weight. He just didn't make it off the stage, sadly. And I mean, that's just the sad part of,
Gotta
the
feel for him a
business.
little bit.
I mean, I
I gotta
feel
feel
for him.
for
I
him a
mean, you
little
never
bit.
want to see a guy go down right there, and that sucks, especially, being so close to fight and working so hard to do a whole camp and it just kind of coming out right at the end. And obviously, Ricky Tercios is probably, but I don't know. Does he get a win for that? And I'm not an expert in that.
No, so he gets his show money, and we'll try to get you rebooked. It's essentially, it's not really a win or a loss. It's not like wrestling. Wrestling, if you don't get on the mat and you lose, this is just fights canceled. There's no win, lose, or draw on it. It's just fight is done. Just move on to the next. So he's probably going to be looking. I don't know what his where he's at right now in terms of the division. I don't believe he's got a ranking. I think he's coming off of a loss. He's coming off of a loss to someone I don't know, and then before that it was the Chihuahuas guy, Raul Rojas Jr. that he fought, lost that fight by submission. So
He was too
Ricky,
OP.
right, Ricky's probably also looking to get a good win, so that's also a shame for him. But he's good thing is he's healthy. He should look to get back in as soon as possible.
No, 100%. And now, kind of building on the prelims, and give me some of your hot takes. Do you have anything for the prelims in terms of things to watch out for? A fighter you really like on this card?
So here's the thing with the way this card is laid out, and it's not something most people are gonna really turn their head at. Like they're nobody really knows, right? There are some bigger names on this card. For instance, the main bout or the featured prelim is what it's called, which is just the top of the preliminary card, is Umar Nurmagomedov versus Davison Figueiredo. Um, if you have been watching UFC closely over the last 2-3 years, you know who those two guys are. Umar Nurmagomedov was just talking about challenging Marab when Marab Dvalishvili had the title. Um, I believe they did fight, and I believe Umar just could not hang. It was not a good showing from him. But essentially, he just fought for a title, and before that, he fought Corey Sandhagen and beat Corey Sandhagen. And I think his most recent was a win against Mario Bautista. So all this to say is that this is a 19-1 fighter who is on the preliminary card against not someone who's washed, but against the former flyweight champion Davison Figueiredo, who, for all intents and purposes, his run at bantamweight is somewhat over. And the reason I'm putting such a heavy emphasis on this is because of the co-main event, which is Sean O'Malley versus Song Yadong, which we can get into that in a little bit. We don't have to go down that rabbit hole right now in that fight analysis and all this, but it's worth mentioning. Why is the card laid out like this? Why are they on the preliminary? Why is this the fight? Why would Song Yadong, who just fought Henry Cejudo, also a former bantamweight champion whose reign is over, he's out. He's done. I believe that was his retirement fight, or maybe that was against Peyton Talbot. But he fought Song Yadong. He lost to Song Yadong. Why are we giving Song Yadong a challenge like Sean O'Malley rather than not giving him somebody, a little bit lower, still a champion? It's the same either way. The point is where the card is. I don't understand the Sean O'Malley Song Yadong fight being made to start off with, but nevertheless, that Nurmagomedov fight, probably not one you're going to want to look at. It's probably going to be a lot of laying and praying. It's a Nurmagomedov. He's just not. He's not going to do much outside of try to wrestle. Um, and Davison Figueiredo, unfortunately, is going to be a good candidate for that just at that weight class. It's going to be a big size difference. The scrambles are not going to work at that.
Yeah, and is gosh, Nurmagomedov. I can't say his name. Is he from Dagestan? Is he one of the?
He is. So he's actually
one of the mob from Dagestan who are running UFC right now.
I don't know if he's. I don't think there's a relation to him and Habib. I don't think so. Habib, I know, has a cousin, Usman Nurmagomedov. I think they're probably some way related. They're all related, so they are somewhat related in some form or fashion. But they have very similar. Now I will say, Umar Nurmagomedov, he's not a bad fighter. Like for all intents and purposes, the fight with Corey Sandhagen was a very good fight. He's not just a wrestler. It's just the problem of what do you want to do in the cage with a striker like Davison Figueiredo. Davison Figueiredo can do a lot. His nickname, the God of War. Usman doesn't have that cool of a nickname. I don't think he has a nickname for that matter. I think he might have copied Eagle. I'm not sure, but it's not the point. Point being is that it's not going to. That's not the fight Usman wants to, or Umar wants to take. He's probably going to want to make this a wrestling match because he is the bigger guy. I believe Umar is standing at a 5'11", which is pretty big for 135. And Figgy, I think Figgy's only at a cool 5'6", which isn't short, but not the tallest, not the tallest guy either.
100%, and I have the belief that the Dagestani Russian mafia in UFC is just going to run the sport for a little bit. I feel like UFC always has nationalities run it for a bit. I feel like it's kind of weird like that. Like I feel like the Brazilians kind of ran it for a bit, and then the English and Irish guys ran it for a bit. Now we're on to the Dagestan and Russian guys.
We had a cool moment where it was American. We had Chris Weidman, we had John Jones, we had Daniel Cormier, we had we had Dominic Cruz, Henry Cejudo. We had a bunch of American champions. Where they all went, I don't know. I don't know what happened. I don't know if that's a thing of just
pay thing?
Other. No, I don't think so. Because if you want to look at it like a pay thing, what else do wrestlers have to do? And that's what it used to be. Is that these what I think it is that most of these fighters that are from that time period, they're all wrestlers. DC, John Jones, Colby Covington, Dominic Cruz, Henry Cejudo, they all have wrestling backgrounds. Even like people like Chael Sonnen, Dan Henderson, they were all Randy Couture. I believe Randy Couture was a wrestler as well. They all come from wrestling backgrounds. I think right now the sport of wrestling is just dominated by other nationalities. I don't think we have you had basically had two. We had Bo. What's his name? Not Bo Nix. I keep calling him that.
Not Bo. Bo Nix is not a good wrestler.
Bo Nix is not a good wrestler. Definitely not right now. But his name is Bo. I can't remember for the life of me. He kind of tapered off. He's kind of tapered off at the end there. Jordan Burroughs. I guess I'll bring up Jordan Burroughs. American wrestler, right? He's not looking to come into MMA, or at least if he is, he's not looking to do it anytime soon. Why can't I remember? Bo Nickel. Yeah, that's why.
Almost Bo Nix.
Almost Bo Nix. So Bo Nickel was one of those guys who we were looking at. He's a very decorated wrestler, and then now he's coming on to he came into MMA, did pretty well. He's doing better now. I think he had a little bit of a spell. He lost to Paul Craig, and everybody was kind of like, well, kind of sucks. It might have been Paul Craig. I think it might have been actually this new guy, RDR. I will be upfront. I have not followed MMA very closely in a long time. Last night was kind of my study session to rekindle the flame. But it's been a long I think it's been 4 or 5 weeks without any cards or anything like that. I'm trying to get back up to speed with everything. But um listen, when it comes to this card, right? The fights that you're going to want to look at, the fights that are going to be worth the time to watch. If you're not talking about the main card, if we're focusing just on the preliminary card, um, Umar Nurmagomedov versus Davison Figueiredo. You can hope that Davison Figueiredo can give him a hard time. Just he's got to keep it on the feet, and then that way that fight is actually entertaining to watch. Flyweight Alex Perez versus Charles Johnston. Alex Perez did miss weight. That was one of the fighters that missed weight. Davison Figueiredo was another fighter that missed weight. So it was both our little guys, and the other little guy. I don't know why they're all missing weight. Um, but Alex Perez versus Charles Johnson, two very scrappy fighters. That's going to be a good one to watch. More than likely going to be a finish there. Early preliminaries. So I wanted to talk about this fight just in terms of my pick for an upset. This fight is basically 50-50. It's anyone's guess who's going to win. Michael Johnson versus Alexander Hernandez. Um, I like to actually draw a NFL comparison to these guys. Michael Johnson is kind of like the C.J. Stroud of MMA, and then Alexander Hernandez is also considered the C.J. Stroud of MMA. They both suck. They are both they're journeymen. They showed a little bit of promise, and then it just kind of flatlined. Both of them are on good win streaks right now. I believe they're both on a 3-fight win streak. Alexander Hernandez has, I think, his last 3 bouts, 3 knockouts. Um, he is the favorite. I think it's a pick 'em fight, but I think he's the favorite by a little bit. I would not be surprised if Michael Johnson was to just outbox him and kind of just midway through the fight, tide changes and all of a sudden Alexander Hernandez isn't able to hang with him anymore. I could see that definitely being an upset on the card. Other than that, there's a lot of guys I don't know a lot of these guys.
So let's play a little game here. To sum
Yeah.
up these prelims here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you the fight, and I want you to give me win loss.
Yeah.
And if you want to, and you want to get fancy, you can say how you think they're gonna win.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's go. Ty Miller, Adam Fudgett.
I don't know who those people are. If I'm just looking
All right,
at
we'll play the name game. Ty Miller versus
if I'm
Adam
just
Fudgett.
if I'm just going by their name, and by just a little bit, I know Ty Miller's a new guy, 25 years old. Uh, I think Adam Fugit has been around for a minute.
Fugit. I said Fudgett.
Fudgett, Fugit, either way, it's not really important. You're not going to hear his name after this fight card is done. I'm going to go ahead and say Ty. Uh, I probably would venture to say submission. He kind of looks like a submissive kind of guy.
All right, submissive guy giving submission.
Submissive Ty.
Josh Hokett, Denzel Freeman.
I'm gonna go Denzel Freeman. I think he's
And
the
these are some
older
big
guy.
boys.
He's the older guy. What you kind of see in heavyweight sometimes is that age stops really mattering the higher you go up. I don't know Josh Hokett. I'm sure he's a fantastic guy, good husband, good father. But I don't know. I have this feeling about Denzel Freeman I can't explain. It's kind of that Denzel Freeman. He kind of sounds badass. He kind of sounds like he's
It's
gonna
like
beat you up.
it's like Denzel Washington mixed with Morgan Freeman. It's kind
It
of
kind of
like a
is, yeah. It's kind of is, and it's kind of racist in that same sort of way. So it's all good.
it's just two amazing badass people put into one. Moving on to Alex Perez versus Charles Johnson.
I'm gonna take Alex Perez. I have so this is actually a fight I do know. Charles Johnson is a very talented fighter. I don't like his haircut, but I think there's more important things in the haircut in the fight game. But Alex Perez, he was on a generational run, and in that generational run, he had a few slip ups. It happens. Tatsuya Taira, excuse me. Just kind of wiped the floor with him. Ended up not being so hot himself, but I think that's one of those things where that was the younger guy. I think Alex Perez is the younger guy in this fight. I think you should see some big stuff from him. It's going to be a scrappy fight. I think he's going to get a flash knockout.
Okay, okay. Moving on to the later prelims. Nikita Krylov, Modestas Bukakas.
Modestus Bukaki. It just he's not. I haven't seen anything great out of him. Nikita Krylov is a veteran. I think honestly, this fight is set up kind of so that Modestus can win it. And all I mean by that is like it's basically old guard to new guard, but I don't think there's enough. I don't think there's enough youth between them. It's 30. He's 33. Modestus is 31. I think the experience is going to get the better of him. I'd say probably Nikita Krylov, unanimous decision.
Nikita's not done fighting yet. Move on to
Not
the next
yet.
one. Michael Johnson, Alexander Hernandez.
Again, I think Michael Johnson is going to get it done. Unanimous decision. I don't see if there's a finish, it's going to be on Alexander Hernandez's part. Um, Alexander Hernandez likes to do this fun thing where I put my U.S. currency on him and he loses it. So I have kind of learned my lesson from that. Um, I think he's a very good fighter. I think at the end of the day they're journeymen though. I don't see Alexander Hernandez having the great comeuppance of a Charles Oliveira or anything like that. So I'm gonna say Michael Johnson unanimous decision victory. It's gonna be a fun fight. Nothing crazy though.
All right. Ateva Gautier versus Andrei Puliev.
So I have heard of Andrei Puliev. I've heard very very good things about him. I believe right now he's coming off of a win. I think last fought in 2025. I don't know this guy. I believe he'll probably be making his UFC debut. No, no, he's been in the UFC. He's actually on a two fight win streak, both knockouts in the first round. So again, I'm kind of fraudulent. Uh, I don't know. I don't know enough about either of them. I'm gonna go ahead and go with Polyev to get it done.
I agree.
He seems like he's the older guy. Seems like he'll probably be the stronger guy.
Passes the
Um,
name test.
he passes the name test, but I do think this guy might be a freak though. Ateb Gaudier. I think this guy might actually be a freak. I'm changing my pick. It's gonna be this guy. I'm looking at pictures of him now, and that's a scary guy. Oh my gosh, he might be on something. Anyway,
Okay, so
yeah,
final prediction.
I'm gonna say Gaudier by two touch spinning backhand knockout. I think that's gonna
And
be the casualty of that fight.
that is a money pick if I've heard one. Last fight of the prelim cards before we get into the main card a little bit and some of the fighters that we know a little bit better probably. Um, Umar Nomagomedov. I can't say his name.
You got it. It's fine.
I'm gonna keep butchering it every single time I say it. Versus Davison Figueiredo.
It's a shame. I hate to see my God of War lose. He is Davison Figueredo is a very very fun fighter. If you were, I got way more into the UFC during the pandemic. If you were around during the pandemic years, that was kind of his golden years. He had the quadrilogy with Brandon Moreno. Those were a lot of fun fights. He moved to bantamweight. He's done all right. He's kind of on that decline though. I believe he's 37 years old. It's probably the end for him. Probably just kind of a turnaround fight for Umar Nurmagomedov to get back in the win column. I'll probably take Umar. Uh, it's probably going to be a decision, 30-27.
Perfect. I mean that sums up our prelims. Those are the picks we have for the prelims. Um, nobody wants to hear my picks because they're going to be all off the name test. So moving on now to the main card, the big guns, the big fights, the, kind of the biggest fights we've had in a while. I mean, I feel like kind of in this is from a casual's perspective, but UFC and MMA have kind of just been a little quiet recently. But now we have some big names on here. You have your Derek Lewis, you have your Namajunas, O'Malley, Gacy, Patty. A lot of big guns on here. Gacy, I'm just butchering his name. Whatever.
So it's interesting you talk about that. This has been, again, one of the reasons that like it's been a minute for me with MMA is because I feel like there has been nothing going on. Um, and that's not entirely true. There's been some. I'm sure there have been some good fights, good shows put on, but it's the name value that really brings people to the sport. It is the Sean O'Malley's headlining the cards. A lot of people that I remember, they were getting into the fights because it was an Adesanya headliner or it was a Kamaru Usman, which is weird to say now because nobody used to like Kamaru Usman, but
Yeah,
as
and now everyone
time has
likes him.
definitely time has definitely helped his career a lot because there's a lot more people that are. Oh, I wish we could go back to Kamaru Usman versus Colby Covington, or Israel Adesanya versus um, some other middleweight that he was destroying back then whenever he had the middleweight title. Um, at lightweight was kind of always a weird thing. Lightweight was at his peak when Habib had just vacated the belt. Charles Oliveira stepped up, and it looked like Charles Oliveira was going to be there for a minute until Islam Makhachev just came and kind of rekindled the whole Habib Nurmagomedov magic. Um, and it's just kind of been that story there since. And then he moved to welterweight, so it's kind of been one of those things where MMA has been there's been nothing new. Ilya Topuria was kind of the newest guy we had, and and one of the things actually I have to point out because I didn't know this, this is an interim fight. This is the main event is an interim lightweight title fight. I thought it was for a vacant belt. I thought this was Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett for the vacant, undisputed UFC lightweight champion. It is not. Ilya Topuria, if I'm assuming, anybody that's not a casual or a diehard MMA fan has seen, Ilya Topuria stepped away from the sport or announced that he was
Hmm.
stepping away from the sport, and he outwardly said, "I will respect whatever Dana White chooses to do with the title." Um, that isn't isn't great news because he's looked like a world beater, knocks
Yeah.
out Alexander Volkanovski, knocks out Max Holloway, and then knocks out Charles Oliveira. It's one of those rock and hard place, you know, scenarios where what do we do with the division? It's one of those like where it's just all very top heavy. Um, so you do something like this, you make an interim belt. Um, I believe that belt is probably going to be vacated. I don't foresee the winner of this fighting Ilya Topuria for the belt. I imagine Ilya will probably step away and vacate the belt. Um, I don't know if it'll be stripped. It's two different things. Stripped means Dana White says you're out. Vacate just means you left it. You decided to up and leave it. So I think he'll vacate it. I think he'll feel like he doesn't want to leave the division on hold. Um, it's one of those things where we kind of have had that in every division. It's not just lightweight. It's welterweight. Islam Makhachev just moved up a weight class. There's nothing new there. Um, I don't even know if I can produce for you who the champion is right now at middleweight. I don't actually know, um, which is super not cool. I believe it should be Hamzat Chimaev, if I remember correctly. Hamzat Chimaev won the belt, and there's no fight news for him. Alex Pieta was the light heavyweight champion, and I think he regained the title and I don't really hear any news from him other than him and Tracy Cortez were dating. Right, other than him and Tracy Cortez were dating, and I don't really care about
Chama.
that. I want to right Chama. I want to see people get Chama. I don't want to open only Chama and see you doing Tracy Cortez. It's just not. I don't. That's not what I enjoy doing. I want to watch fights. So I haven't heard anything about what Alex Pieta is doing. Heavyweight Tom Aspinall, is he blind? I don't know. I don't know what the plan is for that belt. Is Cyril Gane going to end up fighting somebody else for an interim, or are they going to vacate the title or strip him of the title? It's anyone's guess. And then you go all the way down to even women's the women's divisions with Kayla Harrison now being out. We're in a. I think this card has the potential to really light a fire back in MMA. I just think that it's gotta go off pretty good, and I think the headliner is very good for it. I think the fights in general, although they're not the biggest of names, they're gonna be pretty good for just getting that back on track. And when I say the biggest of names, it's not Sean O'Malley versus Murad Dvalishvili. It's not Sean O'Malley versus a much prettier name like a Corey Sandhagen, like a Aljamain Sterling, anything like that, even though Aljo is now at 145. But it's a start. It's at least a little bit of star power, and maybe it's going to give a new guy a little bit of leverage.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing for the UFC, for the sport, from my opinion, is they have that deal with Paramount now. I think if they can start ripping some big fights with big names, you're going to have a lot of traction to it now that it's a lot more accessible, in my opinion, to watch the sport rather than pay for a PPV or pay for or illegally stream it. So I think there's a lot more accessibility here, and so I think there's a chance to really grow the sport in terms of getting those big names back on the cards. For people like me who are casuals, like, I tune in when there's a big fight. Not like someone like you where you just love the game and you're gonna watch Tyler Miller versus Adam Fugit. I'm not gonna watch that. I'm gonna watch.
Yeah, and again, it's it's no shame. It's kind of the job of the promotion to deal with that fact, and the way we deal with that fact, that's how this is how it is. It's Justin Gaethje, fight. It's Justin Gaethje in a main event. It's Sean O'Malley in at least near the top of the card. Derek Lewis is still always going to be a big name. Rose Namajunas is always, she's a former champion.
She's a big name.
One of the greatest flyweights, I'd say. I think actually her best weight class was probably strawweight. I don't know if she's known for one more than the other, but Rose Namajunas is one of the greatest female fighters to do it. And even lower on the card, Arnold Allen versus Gene Silva. Gene Silva is had a super hot 2025 with the Fighting Nerds and that whole character and that whole show of just this group of guys. It's not actually something we had never really seen before in MMA. Not at least since we had like the American Top Teams and other guys that they came from these gyms and they were known as a team. But it's not really the same as it's just the Fighting Nerds kind of revitalized that idea. I hadn't seen it in that way in a very, very long time, where it was just these people from this gym being just absolutely monsters. And they've all had their ups and downs at the end of 2025. I think they all ended up losing a fight. Nevertheless, I think their stock is still really, really high. And at least for John Silva, he wants to get this win back because if he does, he puts himself in a pretty good way to fight whoever wins Alexander Volkanovski versus Diego Lopez, which is the rematch happening, I believe, either in February or March. That is going to be a fantastic fight. That fight's going to be
right.
So it's one of those things where this is what the UFC has to do. The UFC has to keep having these main events where we know who we're looking at. We can't keep doing what we were doing in 2025 where we really don't know the co-main. We don't know who the co-main slot is on a pay-per-view fight. Now, that problem is a little bit better where they're not going to be judging success based off of pay-per-view numbers anymore. It's just going to be, I would assume it's just viewership. Because I would assume with Paramount, they're just counting how many live audience members
Well,
they have
they're
at
getting.
a
I'm
time.
pretty sure they're getting a dollar amount anyway from Paramount. That's in a contract deal, so they're not really worried about who watches anymore. I don't think they're really worried about selling pay-per-views. I think they're more just they have the contract with Paramount, and I could be wrong
Right,
here, but
well, so it is. It's a fine. It's like a actual contract that they have with Paramount, but they have a little bit more of a reason to sell because they want that contract to be
renew,
seen through, right?
of
Like
course,
they
yeah.
they they want they're always looking forward to the future. If having, which it has, I guarantee it has, um if having UFC on Paramount is adding more subscribers to Paramount, then
They're gonna want to
they've done
renew,
their
of
job.
course.
That's that.
Yeah.
That's and the way, again, the way they do that, they sell the card. This isn't going to be a thing where they're selling the fight nights. They have to sell the main event, the numbered cards, and I think they're doing a really good job so far. And the other side of that, though, is that they do have to build stars, and the way they do that is by getting the newer names a chance. And I feel like that's kind of what they're doing with Song Yadong a little bit. And I see the vision. I just don't know if that is the right fight.
Now let's get into that. Talk a little bit about the card itself. Let's give the people what they want to hear. Main card picks. What are you thinking? Any
All right.
upsets?
So here's the thing. I got a few notes. Not that it totally matters. Um, Justin Gaethje, though, if we want to look at it objectively, um, lead Justin Gaethje. He's 37 now. Um, the big thing that, I don't know if you can hear the dogs barking in the background, but I'm trying to wait for them to stop. It's the unfortunate part of not having a nice big studio. But
Coming soon.
coming soon to the show. But um, here's the thing when it comes to this whole idea of this fight. What it looks like is old guard passing it to the new guard. I would raise that is not the case. Justin Gaethje, he's 37 years old. He's coming to the end of his fight career. He's closer to 40 than he is 30, right? But, you got to look at, what did Justin Gaethje look like the last time he was out? He's coming off of a win against Rafael Vazayev. That was a rematch. That it was a short notice fight. He was supposed to face Dan Hooker. I think he would have won that fight as well. But he fought Rafael Fazayev, and one of the things that people kind of noted about that is that Justin Gaethje looks like he's slowed down. I would argue Justin Gaethje looks better than he ever has. I would argue that Justin Gaethje has slowed down because he's worked on the actual, fight mechanics rather than I'm going to go in and brawl, which is what he was known for. And here's the thing. Do we want Justin Gaethje to brawl and be in those fun matches? Of course. But Justin Gaethje doesn't want to be in those fights. Justin Gaethje has been in that fight with Eddie Alvarez. Justin Gaethje has been in that fight with Dustin Poirier. Justin Gaethje has been in that fight with Max Holloway. And here's the thing. All three of those fights, he lost. Dustin Poirier, he lost the first time. It wasn't until he came back that second time. It was still a hard fight. But with a clean kick, knocks Dustin Poirier out. He gets flatlined by Max Holloway once he engages in that brawl at the end of UFC 300. He gets knocked out in wild exchanges versus Eddie Alvarez. So it's one of those things where, yes, he has looked to be his best in those firefights, but with a younger man like Paddy Pimblett in front of him, and a man who is definitely willing to engage in a firefight like Paddy Pimblett, because that's what he does. Scousers never get knocked out, that whole thing. Justin Gaethje needs to do what he's really, really good at. That's counter. He needs to wait for those openings and counter. It's not just, hook to the head trying to go for his chin, but it's to look for those good powerful shots. Even in the fights that Justin Gaethje wins, he is not the most active. He is not just constantly throwing. He's not a Max Holloway where he is a volume fighter. But when he throws, he is accurate and he hits hard. So what he needs to do is let Patty be crazy, but don't just go full force into it. And where you can explode into it. You just dig to the body, get the punches to the face, and just kind of use your power to your advantage. I think Justin Gaethje should be stronger than Paddy Pimblett. This all being said, I still think Paddy Pimblett's going to end up winning. I think what I'm trying to preface is that Justin Gaethje can't be wrote off. I don't think this is as big of a underdog fight as it should be. Where I believe what I looked at is that the odds on this, I think, Patty was a minus 230 favorite. I think those odds are a little high, especially because Paddy Pimblett has kind of had the same time off as Justin Gaethje. You kind of feel like, well, when's the last time did we see Justin Gaethje? It was against Rafael Fiziev in 2025. And I believe that was early 2025 as well. March of 2025. Paddy Pimblett, we haven't seen since April of 2025. So these guys are pretty much on the exact same kind of time off, right? Who was their last opponent? Rafael Fiziev. Rafael Fiziev is a real contender. He's a real threat at 155. Paddy Pimblett's last fight was against 39-year-old Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler is a good fighter. Michael Chandler would kill me dead, barehanded. However, when it comes to these fights where, well, we're going to set this guy up to win, and that was what that was. Paddy Pimblett was getting set up because he needed a fight to propel him. And, I think really the UFC saw this fight, and I think the UFC are underestimating Gaethje, where they're like, well, this is probably Paddy Pimblett's best opportunity. Because here's the thing, who else does he have to go up against? Arman Tsarukyan, who, not a huge interest to fans, but he is probably the best 155er not named Ilia Topuria. Ilia Topuria is the scariest human being alive right now. So I don't give Paddy a very good shot at him. And then Charles Oliveira, who, could Paddy win that fight? I think so, yeah, but it's one of those trickier ones where I don't give it to Paddy immediately. So that's the top, and I believe that's the top three at that weight class. So all in all, this is Paddy Pimblett's best opportunity to win a title, and I think that's what the UFC has been prepping him for. And this kind of seems like one of those fights where, all right, kid, it's time to show that you are the new guard, and it's time to show that you are the UFC's shiny new toy. Let's see what you can do. He's obviously he's one of the biggest draws in the sport. He's only gotten better as he's fought. But I don't think this is any fight that is going to be a gimme for Paddy Pimblett, and I think it's really going to be a technical fight.
So final prediction?
I think it's going to be Paddy Pimblett, and I think there's a good chance if well, one of the things I got down in my notes actually is Justin Gaethje is an NCAA Division I wrestler. I believe he wrestled there. He's that caliber of wrestler. He's been hit so many times in the head that he doesn't know that he knows how to do that. So it's one of those things where Justin Gaethje is going to keep this on the feet. Paddy Pimblett is going to look for everything else. He's going to look to kick him in the leg. He's going to look to kind of distract him. Paddy Pimblett does this cool little thing called feinting. Justin Gaethje does the same exact thing. He's just not as quick with it. But Paddy Pimblett, very, very quick, very mobile, and he's going to look to kind of make Gaethje second guess, give him multiple things to think about. I think Paddy Pimblett's going to be the winner. I would assume it's probably going to be done within the 25 minutes. I think this fight still goes over 2.5. And that just means 2.5 rounds. I think we make it to championship rounds. I wouldn't be surprised if Paddy Pimblett gets it to the ground and submits Justin Gaethje.
All right, so Paddy Pimblett by submission.
I'll say for just for the love of the game, Paddy Pimblett by submission in round number 3, and it's probably going to be a triangle. It'll probably be a triangle.
All right, we'll just know if this is right. This is miraculous. Next fight, Sean O'Malley, Yadong Song.
Yadong Song. So it's really, really mean what some of these guys are doing to poor Yadong. Nobody seems to like his name, and I can't blame him. It is funny. It sounds like dong. I get it. I understand the joke.
And it's a song.
But here's the thing. So Song Yadong has been around for as long as Sean O'Malley. He actually made his debut, I believe, a month before Sean O'Malley did. Sean O'Malley made his debut on Tough 26. He wasn't actually on The Ultimate Fighter. He made his debut on the card. So Sean O'Malley was, Sean O'Malley and Song Yadong basically have been in the game for the same amount of time. So the real question is, why is Sean O'Malley so much popular? Why has many people never heard of Song Yadong? If a Song Yadong came in your room and hit you in the back of the head, I don't think you would know, hey, that's who did it. You wouldn't be able to point him out in a crowd, right?
You'd just be like, ow.
The reason you just be like, the reason Song Yadong did not get a lot of as much like headway as Sean O'Malley, it's for really a simple. He just didn't win the right fights. I believe he lost few of them early on in his career. Sort of Charles Oliveira-esque with the it's a kind of a later comeback. He is only 28 years old. He's younger than Sean O'Malley. He's probably had just as much experience as him though. What I would say for him is that he came in at a very frustrating time to be a bantamweight. When he first got in, the title picture was T.J. Dillashaw, Henry Cejudo, and Cody Garbrandt. And the main contenders were Aljamain Sterling, Corey Sandhagen. It was a bunch of these real killers at that time. Marlon Moraes, I think, was popular still back then as well. Petr Yan was, I think he was a couple years out from fighting Jose Aldo for the belt. I think that happened during the pandemic. And Yan just beat the absolute crap out of poor old Jose Aldo. Point being, Song Yadong kind of came at an inopportune time where there was just so much congestion at the top. He's very, very skilled, and he's gotten a lot better. His boxing is very, very good, where it almost kind of reminds you of what Petr Yan does. Petr Yan is the new bantamweight champion. That is my GOAT. Petr Yan is probably by far one. If I had to wager, he's only behind Topuria in terms of actual boxing skill in the UFC. I really think that Song Yadong, I don't know if they're in the same training camp. I don't know if he's just taken from Petr Yan, but those same kind of ways that Petr Yan kind of stands there with his hands up like this, and he's just kind of waiting to see what you're going to do and how he's going to respond. I think Song Yadong's kind of copied that a little bit, and I think it's very much working his way. He's coming off a win against Henry Cejudo. I think he's, I think he needs to get over this hump of everybody's underestimating him, and that's a very hard thing to deal with. The pressure really is on him, because thing is, if he loses this fight, nobody really talks about it. Sean O'Malley is a name. Sean O'Malley is someone we know.
Sean O'Malley's already been knocked off too.
So there's that part of it where Sean O'Malley is coming off of his 2 losses against Merab Dvalishvili. The good thing for Sean O'Malley, though, Merab isn't champion anymore. So it's now Petr Yan, who he has a win over. Not everybody agrees that he won that fight, but the judges, the 3 judges that had the job to score it, they said he won the fight, or at least 2 of the 3 of them did. Enough of them that he walked away with a win. He got his hand raised. He has a win over the current champion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sean O'Malley is looking to be back in this title picture. The weird thing with this fight, I don't know if that does that. What I see with this fight is that the winner of this is probably going to face either an Aljamain Sterling or a Movsar Evloev, which again nobody knows who that guy is. So I get why he's not on this card. But it's also the same thing where, Movsar Evloev is, kind of in that same boat that Islam Makhachev was in, where he's a giant. Nobody wants to fight him. He's a scary fight, and it's not scary because, oh my gosh, you're gonna beat the brains out of me. It's scary because you're gonna kind of lay on me, and I hate to talk about Islam Makhachev that way because Islam Makhachev is a very, very fun fighter to watch. Movsar Evloev is not. Here's the deal with this fight. What Song Yadong is going to want to do, he's got to get on the inside. He can't let this fight be at a distance. If he lets Sean O'Malley just kind of stay back, believe he has a 5-inch reach advantage. And again, a reach advantage, not a real thing. It's an advantage if you know how to use your reach. Sean O'Malley knows how to use his reach. Sean O'Malley needs to manage the distance. If he can keep Song Yadong at a distance, he's just going to go all 3 rounds, kind of pick him apart, do what he's been doing to everybody else not named Merab Dvalishvili. So I predict for you it's probably going to be the same as that. Here's the thing, Song Yadong can surprise us all. He's very explosive. He needs to get in the pocket, fire, and get right back out of the pocket. I don't expect him to use a lot of grappling. He has that skill set. I don't think it'll be much of a use to him. I think Sean O'Malley is very, very good, especially after those fights with Merab where he kind of knows what he's doing a little bit better. What beat Sean O'Malley in that fight was not the grappling, and that can be very hard to understand. It was the pressure. The pressure beat Sean O'Malley. He could not keep up with Merab. He could not keep up with the cardio. He could not stuff all 20-plus takedowns coming from Merab. He could stuff 9 or 10, but when it's just so much and it's all coming at such a high volume, you can't stop it. So what Song Yadong is going to want to do is mirror that kind of pressure, but mirror it in strikes. Mirror it in, I am going to keep coming at you, and I'm going to get out of the way just in time that you can't catch me. It's one of those things where we can talk all day about, well, he's got to punch him in the face. He's got to kick him in the leg. That's a fight. That's a fight. He's fighting. You got to go in there and fight. No duh, obviously. What the real story of this fight is that the pressure is on Song Yadong. Sean O'Malley is going to be able to just relax. This is as big of a fight as it was against Chris Montino, who I'm sure you don't know the name of, but that was a real fight that Sean O'Malley had. He's back to fighting the people who he's like, don't give me a high rank guy, give me a guy that's lower than me, and this is what he's getting. Sean O'Malley should coast to victory. I'm gonna go ahead and predict it's gonna be a 30-27 Sean O'Malley unanimous decision.
Yeah, and I can go ahead and pick the next one. Derek Lewis versus Waldo Cortez. Derek Lewis is going to submit him by round 2.
That I would assume that is probably going to make some lucky guy a millionaire. If that is the I don't even know if Derek Lewis has ever submitted anybody.
Yep, it's gonna
in
happen.
the UFC. I don't know.
It's gonna happen.
So here's the thing. If we could talk about that fight for a minute. So there's this thing in MMA called the big man paradox. Essentially, what it is you put two guys in there that like to scrap, and they do nothing but stare at each other for a full 15 minutes. That is, Derek Lewis has been a part of that. That's kind of where it comes from. Derek Lewis versus Francis Ngannou. That fight on paper, you look at that and you're like, I can't wait. This is going to be the greatest fight. There's gonna there. I don't even know. Somebody might die. Somebody might die in that cage. That's not what happened though. They stared at each other and they just kind of pitter patter. The ref had to get in. The ref was actually the most active participant in that fight. He probably threw more strikes than both Derek Lewis and Francis Ngannou in that fight. So that's always the fear you have at heavyweight, is that it's this boring two fat guys laying on each other for 15 minutes. Waldo Acosta Cortez, I think that's how you say his name. I'm probably butchering that. He's on a 3-fight win streak, 3 knockouts. Derek Lewis is on, I think he's on a win streak of his own, and I believe they have 32 knockouts shared between them. 8 of those are Waldo's. 20. What would that be? 8 24. Of those are Waldo's, and 24 of them are Derek Lewis's. This is as simple as hope for the best. I'm gonna go ahead and say Waldo is gonna knock him out in round 1. I'm hopeful. If it's not that, I will go ahead and say this: if this fight doesn't end in round 1, go get popcorn. Go make love to your girlfriends. Go do something for around 10 more minutes. Go do something that's going to take 10 more minutes.
10 minutes
take a shower. Just go do something that is going to take up your time for 10 minutes, because it's not even going to be worth watching.
Fair. So we got, for Joe, your predictions. We have Patty. We have O'Malley. We have Waldo. Give me what you have for Namajunas versus Silva.
Go ahead and give me Rose Namajunas. I can't bet against the GOAT. I think it's one of those tough situations where I don't know what Silva has done since. So Natalia Silva, just for those who don't know, I believe she was she fought Alexa Grasso at flyweight. I think this fight is at flyweight as well. It's hard with the women's fights because sometimes they change the weight class on you and you're not expecting it. Listen, Natalia Silva is a very, very good fighter. She's the next up and coming. She's beat the former champion. She has a win over Jessica Andrade. She has a win over Alexa Grasso. I think my thing with Natalia Silva is, I don't know what she does better than Rose Namajunas. I don't know if she is better. I don't know if she's a better grappler than Rose Namajunas. Is Rose Namajunas the greatest grappler? No. But I really don't know what Natalia Silva's skill set is. Rose is coming off of a weird year in 2025. She didn't fight a whole lot. She fought Miranda Maverick, and Miranda Maverick was that next up and comer. She lost to Erin Blanchfield. No shame in that. Erin Blanchfield is a top contender in that division. I really think the point with this is, again, let's give that new girl a little bit of shine. Natalia Silva is just not that new, and I don't think she's that shiny. I think she's kind of something that Rose Namajunas has dealt with before. And I expect Rose Namajunas is probably gonna dispatch her well enough. I'll take her unanimous decision.
Yep, I agree. I'll take Rose on that one as well. Final fight of the main card before we get into a special segment where we call it who would win this fight. And so last fight, who's going to win this fight? Gian Silva, Arnold Allen.
This is by far my favorite fight of the card. This is the fight to watch. This is the fight that you do not want to miss. Interestingly enough, this was something I was just looking into last night, but Arnold Allen, I thought about it, and I was like, I have not seen Arnold Allen in a meaningful amount of time. Jumping back to Movsar Evloev, that's a featherweight. So I misspoke earlier when I thought he was. I think I think I was talking about him as if he was a featherweight, or as if he was a bantamweight. He is a featherweight. Um, Mosfari Valoyev was Arnold Allen's last fight, that I can remember at least, and that was a pretty competitive fight. He had a very, very good performance. He ended up not getting the win. I thought there was an argument to make for him in that fight. He ended up walking away with a decision loss. I think Arnold Allen has been sidelined just for injuries. He actually ended up getting jumped in Montreal because he didn't speak French. So, super weird story that kept him sidelined the entirety of 2025. So, one of those unfortunate things. He has not fought since 2024, and I believe it was July of 2024 was the last time he had a showing. Contrast that with Gene Silva, absolutely took MMA the world on fire. He was barking. He barks. He does that barking thing. It's very funny. It was funny the first time. It's not so funny anymore. There's this new video I saw of Gene Silva. He's like in like a dark room with a UFC belt, and he's screaming, crying at the UFC belt. He's out of his mind, and that's what you love to see from your fighters. You love to see the CTE just kind of, exonerating from them, right? They exuding from their body. And that's what Gene Silva does. Gene Silva is a very, very good fighter. I love Arnold Allen. I hope he does well. I predict for you Gene Silva will walk away. John Silva, Gene Silva, however you want to say his name. It's really not that important. I don't think he knows his name. I would predict for you that John Silva is probably going to walk away with this. I'll take him by knockout because I think Arnold Allen's layoff has just been too long, and I think the caliber of opponent is just too high for a return. If anyone can do it, Arnold Allen can do it. He can shock us. I think John Silva is probably going to get it done within 15 minutes.
All right. Well, those are our main card predictions. More so Joey's main card predictions. I'm just here learning, just like all of you guys. Moving on now. Before we get into our locks of the week and what if we were to place a parlay, how we would do it. Let's get into who would win in a fight. And now let me lay out some ground rules here. This is UFC style, in the cage, championship title fight. So we're getting 5 rounds.
Okay.
Here.
All right.
Let's start it off right now. All right. Conor McGregor or 13 college kids.
So here's the interesting thing with Conor McGregor and 13 college kids is what you got to consider with that is what college. Because here's the thing, if you're coming at this from a college, like let's say it's some whack college like I don't know, what's the school that just won? Illinois. Like if it's some whack college like Illinois, with like a Fernando Mendoza. Like if I saw Fernando Mendoza, Indiana. I'm just not big on the college football. If it's a thing like Indiana where you put 14 Fernando Mendozas in the cage with Conor McGregor, he's gonna just rip them to shreds. They don't belong in there with him. Now, aside from that, if you go to a college, let's say a little bit cooler, a little bit of a like a more refined mystique to it, such as I don't know, Miami. Like I think that you're just gonna find a lot different guys, and Conor will be in trouble. You're dealing with a lot more. You're dealing with a lot harder people. So it really depends on the college you go to. If we're just gonna call it like that very, very just flat out normal American college experience, I think Conor's gonna have some trouble with 13 college kids.
Armless John Jones or a legless Chael Sonnen.
So here's the thing. They've fought before, so I actually have something to go off of this and that was their first fight. So this is just to be sure, this is an armless John Jones and a legless Chael Sonnen, correct?
Yes.
So I don't know if you know this, but in their first and only bout, there was a little bit of trickery done, and then not many people know about this, but it's kind of one of those things where the ref just doesn't see something and it's not called properly, kind of like a hold call in the NFL. That changes the entirety of the play, right? This is for a belt. And what happened in this fight is that Chael Sonnen broke John Jones' toe off his foot. That's what happened. That, like, objectively, when you go to that fight and you look at that post fight interview with Joe Rogan, that camera pans down and that toe is hanging off of John Jones' foot. It's on strings. It might as well has not even been on, right? So if you're talking about a only legs John Jones, that toe's coming off again. I see no reason why it wouldn't. Listen, Chael did it before. There's no reason to think he can't do it again.
He can do it with no legs, though?
I think Chael can do it with no legs, no arms, and his eyes just blindfolded, all right? He can do it any way he wants. He's undefeated and he's undisputed. Give me Chael Sonnen via broken toe.
All right. Last one. Daniel Cormier versus John Jones again.
Does John Jones have arms in this? Does John Jones have legs in this? It's unfortunate.
Prime DC versus recent John Jones. We'll give DC his prime.
Okay, so here's the thing: when you take it like that, you got to think about, well, when was John Jones prime? When has John Jones looked the absolute scariest? And my answer to that is John Jones always looks the absolute scariest. He is John Jones. When you take Daniel Cormier, you're thinking, well, when did he come out of his prime? I mean, Daniel Cormier is still in phenomenal shape for the age he's at. He was much older than John Jones. His prime came a lot before John Jones. So I would like to think that at prime I would even give it prime for prime. I would love to give Daniel Cormier that advantage. The unfortunate thing is that there's some things that just aren't teachable, and John Jones kind of reminds me of the guys that, like, you walk up on them playing GTA 5 and they've got like a bunch of strippers' bodies burning around them, and they're like going into the city and they're like, shooting at the things, and they're just kind of looking up at you and they're like, isn't that funny? And you're just like, yeah, just keep it in game. Just keep it in game, bro. So I think John Jones is a psychopath, and I would have to give him the edge over Daniel Cormier at any point in time. Prime for prime, not out of prime, not out of prime. John Jones is a psycho. He's just going to always win.
And now, last but not least, we want to leave the people with a couple of things to take home. They want to get some guaranteed picks here. Give me your best three you're putting in a parlay. Go.
All right. So I made sure to have something set up a little bit for this, and I'm using this all off of DraftKings, not sponsored. Not yet sponsored.
Sponsor us.
Not yet sponsored. I have a 5-pick parlay up and ready to go on my phone as soon as I wake up in the morning. I'm taking, and this is not money. There's no money line bets in this because it's just I'm confident in these decisions. Michael Johnson via decision, Umar Nurmagomedov via decision, John Silva via decision, a knockout, TKO, or DQ in the Waldo Cortez Acosta versus Derek Lewis fight, and the Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett fight to go over 2.5 rounds. So that is my parlay that I will be putting in. If we are just going off of a fight, I'm going to go ahead and say let's just go crazy with it. Let's take Paddy Pimblett via submission. Let's take Waldo Cortez Acosta via knockout. And let's go Let's go Sean O'Malley via decision.
Hmm. I like it. I like it. And now, I'm not going to add any picks for this episode because my picks are useless and just going to ruin my percentage even more because I genuinely am so washed and this is not, I don't have a good feeling for this event for myself to vibes it. So we're going to go with the UFC expert here. And, I want to thank you guys if you made it this far for watching the whole episode. Like it, watch it, know, so that way we know that you guys want to see this some more. And we can keep having Joey on the channel providing us as UFC updates, and then we can afford our studio eventually.
We will be in that studio, and just remember, guys, while I am a UFC expert and I am always right, I need you guys to know that this is all based on my own research that I conducted over the course of 5 hours, as well as numerous Google searches. I have very, very little MMA experience, and everything I have said can be disputed. So just make sure you take that for what you will, and go win some money with my picks, and just thank me later.
All right, thank you everybody for watching.